A girl, you liked her, you started dating her. And by dating her, you realize that she has some potential or great potential. She is from the lowest socio-economic background, but because of the potential that you would have seen in her, you decided to invest in her and build out her capacity. After a few years, she would have she would have gone up the social ladder due to her capacity improving because of your investment. So probably then back she was a store clerk. Now she's probably the manager of a store. She was probably a receptionist, but now she's an accountant or maybe a secretary in the court, but now she's a stenographer in the court. Things have improved for her. She no longer goes to round robin and house parties or street dance. Not saying anything is wrong with those, far from that. But she now goes to glitzy functions and she spends her holidays at five-star hotels and on cruise all around the world or in the Maldives. Because of her improved status, thanks to your investment, she's now more exposed to other persons. More persons are now seeing her. It is like the West Indies cricket team saw a youngster, probably in Jamaica, and they nurture that youngsters. They pay the coaches to coach him. They provide for him. They take him into the academy. They sent him on A-team tours, and he's now more exposed to the world. So that young lady who you built up from scratch suddenly starting to tell you that, babes, I have a commitment. I met a gentleman in India or a woman, whatsoever it may be, and they are giving me 10 times the amount of money that you are giving me. So you know what, babes? I'm going to spend the 2 months with them, and when I finish, I'll come back to you. And you know what? I also met somebody in Abu Dhabi. So in a few months' time, I'll have to go to Abu Dhabi to spend some time with that individual. And then I'll come back to you. And so it is. I would have to go to South Africa and England and Pakistan. Because although you build me up, I am now in a position where I'm in more demand and more people are seeing me. So I still love you and I would always come home to you. But I have to go where I can make some more money. The West Indies cricket team built up these players, exposed them, and now most of them are turning their back on West Indies cricket for more money. There's no goodwill. I know that this is a topic that divides opinion, and it divides opinions very sharply. But just imagine that you are that gentleman that invests in that young lady and take her from a lower socio-economic status to a upper class status, and suddenly what you are offering is no longer good enough for her. How would you feel? How is it that we in the Caribbean, who knows that West Indies cricket have invested heavily in some of our players, and they choose to turn their back on West Indies cricket and will only come home when no one else wants them? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am very happy that you are here. Really happy, and I enjoy your company as always. I must remind you that coming up next weekend, it's the Lawrence Rowe 75th anniversary celebration. It is also the 50th year after making that 302 against England at Barbados. Both celebrations will be combined. It will be done, there'll be a grand gala, a celebratory gala at the Westin in Fort Lauderdale next Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Persons like Viv Richards will be there, Andy Roberts, Forward Bacchus, Courtney Walsh, Ramnawat Sawan. Hi, yours truly will also be there. Tickets, there are a few tickets remaining on sale. The link is in the video description. Please click on that link and purchase your ticket and come down to the Westin next week, Saturday evening at 6 p.m. There will be some stories told that have never been told before. It will be a very interesting occasion, an exciting occasion. So join me then and these legendary West Indies cricketers at the Westin next week, Saturday evening. You know, no successful sports team or sports organization in the world, whatsoever sport they take part in, none of them have been successful without a ruthless and effective administration. Almost 2 years ago, I said on this challenge, and I was challenged by persons like my good friend, Sheldon Smith, among others. And they told me about players would strike. But I maintain that there are too much player powers in the West Indies players. Frankly, it is time that West Indies stop issuing some of these no objection certificates, and the players must be compelled to play for the West Indies. But the other question I have to ask though, we heard a month or so ago, just before the England series, that West Indies have issued some retainer contracts. Have those contracts been signed? Have any players signed those contracts? If those contracts were signed, why are you paying players retainer and yet still allowing them to play in franchise league all around the world? I was speaking to Noel Rose on Monday. Incidentally, Noel Rose is the CEO of Royalty Elites. They are the marketing agency for Agua Water, one of the sponsors of the Lawrence Rowe Celebratory Gala. Their links are also in the video description. You may click on those links. But this is what Noel Rose has to say when I asked him about the authority of Dr. Shallow.
Position to rate him per se, but I will say this, okay? I think in time he will show his worth. I think right now he just has to play the role until he has proof of concept where he can actually really run the show. I know not all decisions are up to him.
Those are very strong words, very strong words. He's not in control. I know that he's not the one that is running the show. So if Dr. Shallow, the president of Cricket West Indies, is not running the show, who then is running the show? What does he have to prove? That's the big question that is to be answered. If Noel Rose is right that Dr. Shallow is not running the show, he's not the one who is in charge, then the people of the Caribbean and supporters of West Indies cricket needs to know who is in charge. There's too much player power in this West Indies squad. And we need an administration that is ruthless but effective and have great human resource skill. Otherwise, our players will continue to get away with anything. The greatest movement ever on earth, Christianity, is built on fear. And so we need administration to drive fear into the heart of these players. Just like Afghanistan did, if we have to withdraw NOC, if we have to suspend players and ban them worldwide, we have to do that. But no longer can players run the show at Cricket West Indies. It is time that Cricket West Indies become ruthless, effective, and show great human resource skill. When I look at the ODI team that has been selected from Australia, I am disappointed in particular that 2 players have ignored the call-up. The T20 squad, all of them will be there because they have their agenda. That agenda is to play in the 2024 T20 World Cup in the Caribbean. So they are always going to turn up for the T20 squad. I said it earlier, a few months ago, that these players, they are not committed to West Indies cricket, but they are committed to themselves, their own self-interest. And if we do not have an administration that is going to look after the interests of West Indies cricket, these players will continue to rule the roost. While I have no issue with the T20 squad, I will now take a brief look at the ODI squad. I think that most of us will agree that the players selected, these players that have been selected for the ODI squad would have been selected by most of us. When I look at that squad, I see here, I'm trying to get the squad up. These are the players that I think that will be selected by most of us. No, that is my squad. What is going on here? I'm not seeing that squad. Okay, here is it. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting so confused this morning. So when I look at that squad, I think most of us agree that Hope, Joseph, Atanase, Carty, Ford, Greaves, Motis, Shepherd, and Thomas should be in that squad. I think most of us will agree with that, those 9 players. 95% will agree with those 9 players that are there. Now, what about the other 6 players? Now, these 3 for me are 50-50. Chase, many will ask why Chase is there instead of someone like Kevin Sinclair. I recall last year when Kevin Sinclair was omitted from the tour of South Africa and Chase was selected, I did a show then saying that Kevin Sinclair omission is unexplainable. Since then, however, Chase have been one of our most economical bowler in ODI cricket. Except for that match against the Netherlands, where his 10 overs went for 77, Chase have not conceded above 5 runs per over in all but 2 of the last 10 international matches that he have played for the West Indies. When it comes to Arch and Utley, I would not have both of them there. Why I would not have? If I was a president of Cricket West Indies, Rutherford and King could not tell me that they were not going to Australia. If they say they are not going to Australia, they'll be at home sitting on their backside because they will not be anywhere in the world playing any franchise cricket. So Utley and Hodge would not have been there because Rutherford and King would have been in that squad. When I look at the other 3 players, and I would not have selected any of these 3. 1, Bishop, and I'm all for giving young players a chance and picking players out of the blue. We remember Fidel Edwards, Marlon Samuels. I think that the time when Michael Holden went to Australia with the West Indies team, he had only played a few matches for Jamaica. So I do not have a problem, I do not have an issue with a youngster being given an opportunity if we think that he's good. But that is when the player probably played less than 5 matches. Bishop has played 17 List A matches and have yet to score a century. His strike rate of 83 is not impressive. When someone plays 17 List A matches and have not performed, I am not going to pick that person talent. He has to come good. And Bishop needs to come good, and have not have included Bishop in this team. Imlach is there by default. However, there's no other persons, it seems, to take Imlach's place. Imlach's performance have been terrible, but it has been the best of the rest. However, I would have gone ahead with Joshua da Silva instead of Imlach. Aidan Walsh Jr. has been bowling very well recently, but we saw in Australia, touring spinners for the last 5 years have stood no chance in Australia. We wish Gudakesh Moti well, but even last year, we saw where the former world #1 bowler, T20 bowler, Maharaj of South Africa, he was beaten to pieces in Australia. So spinners have not done well. So I would have included Shamar Joseph ahead of Aidan Walsh. I would have included Joshua da Silva ahead of Imlach, and I would have gone with Kavim Hodge ahead of Bishop. So my team that would have gone to Australia for the ODI series would have been Hope, Joseph, Atanes, Kartik, Chase, Da Silva, Ford, Greaves, Hodge, Shamar Joseph, King, Moti, Rutherford, Shepherd, and Thomas. That would be my team that is going to Australia for the ODI series. I'm coming to your comments very shortly, but I must point out, and scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, you will see the West Indies under-19 team for the World Cup, which gets going on the 19th. That's next week Friday, sorry. That's get going next week Friday in South Africa. 2 West Indian umpires have been named to the 16-man elite panel that will be covering the match. Patrick Gustard of Jamaica, Clarendon, Jamaica, and Nigel Duguid from Guyana. So those are the 2 West Indian umpires that have been named on the 16-man elite panel to cover the matches. The West Indies will play their first warm-up match on Sunday the 14th against New Zealand, and 2 days later against Nepal, they will play their second and final warm-up match before playing South Africa in their opener on Friday. So that's the news from the under-19 World Cup. Now, I'm glad that you are here. Please remember to slash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button. I will now come to your comments. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Merrick. Good morning. Good. Thank you very, very much, Merrick. I appreciate that. Sherwin, how are you doing? The biased Sherwin. Let's hear what he has to say. Good morning. Watching Justice Greaves bowl last night leaves me with one question. Why do we need Kemar Roach and Akeem Jordan? Okay, good question, Sherwin. I appreciate that question. I also watched that match last night, and what it tells me is that Kemar Roach is needed in that team and that squad for his experience. Justin Greaves, he bowled fairly well, but despite that, you must recognize that Roach did bowl better than him. I think of all the bowlers on display last night, Joseph was the one that, not Shamar Joseph, Alzar Joseph was the one that impressed me the least. But the bowling was good overall, but you saw last night the value of Roach. But thank you for your opinion. Brian H., good morning. How are you, sir? Good morning. I'm happy that you are here, Brian H. Good to see you. And next, we go down now to Francis Matthew John. We are missing the cool and best brain player in cricket West Indies now. Michael Douglas, what's the point you're trying to make? You're making no point. Everybody know what you're saying, Michael Douglas. Come with something that we don't know, Michael Douglas. You're making no points. What you're trying to say. No point, man. That if you're going to come back with that, everybody knows what you're trying to say. We know that. We know that. So what's the point you're trying to make? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? We know what you're saying, man. Come with something substantive. Substantive, man. Add value to the show, Michael. Don't come here with that, man. Don't come here with something that everyone knows. Add some value to the show, Michael. Sylvester is saying that good morning to you all. Happy New Year. Solve X, good morning to you too. Welcome. Francis, good morning. Chase is the best right now. So Francis thinks that Chase is the best. Clement Royal. I have been informed that Alzara Joseph wealth is $10 million. How much do they need to earn before they give something back. Well, I'm not going to go down that road, Clement. I'm happy that he is making $10 million. I hope that he will make $100 million by the end of his career. I wish him he make the best. And so Michael is saying that King has ODI contract, so he should be sanctioned for not playing this series. I agree with you, Mitchell. Yeah, and Michael Douglas, he doesn't have an ODI contract. West Indies doesn't issue separate contracts anymore. West Indies issue one central contract to all the players. So not a few years ago when they used to have different level white ball contract and red ball contract, Cricket West Indies doesn't issue those contracts anymore. They issued one central contract to all the players. Sherwin, I will have Justin Greaves playing all formats, replacing Older. Sherwin, in fact, a number of persons have been saying that, and I think that it is very likely that it will soon happen. Justin Greaves appears to me at this time. A few years ago, Justin Greaves was seen as one of the next best West Indies batsmen. He played against Ireland and he never done so well. And he fell off the radar. And now he's back. He's back, and hopefully he's back for good. Solve 4X. Before we get a strong board, we need leaders that we can trust. A lot of the players don't trust the management of CWI to make the best decision for West Indies cricket. Now, Salvex, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but the leadership of Cricket West Indies shouldn't be making decision for the players to trust them. The leadership of Cricket West Indies should be making decision in the best interest of West Indies cricket. Whether the players like it or not, whether the players want to scream as loud as they want or not, Cricket West Indies should be making decision in the best interest of West Indies cricket. However, I did say that they need good human resource management skills. I agree that they do, and they need to be more effective, and they need to communicate more effective with the players. But the decision making should not be in the best interest of the players, but in the best interest of the product, of the brand, West Indies cricket, which they, the leaders, have to protect. And that's where it should be. Jordan Bowling is not threatening at all. Thank you for that observation, Mr. Casanova. Your opinions are always welcome. I did not form an opinion on it. However, when you look at the stats, he was more economical than Shamar Joseph and Alzari Joseph. So it is something to look at. Maybe he was just playing a containing role instead of a wicket-keeping role. John Douglas, welcome to the show. Sorry I'm late. However, why not Jamar Hamilton over Imlach? That is also something that I considered. And maybe Jamar Hamilton should have a look in over Imlach. At this stage, in my opinion, I think Cricket West Indies have decided to invest in Tevin Imlach. As in business, you hope it succeed. However, if it is not going to succeed, you hope he fails quickly so that we can move on to the next person. You hope he either succeed or fail quickly. You do not want a long drawn-out thing where he's here and there about, and you do not know whether to go forward with him or to cut him off. You do not want that. The best thing that could happen for West Indies is that he succeed or fails quickly. One of the two, but you do not want that drawn-out thing. And so Jamar Hamilton probably could have been considered. What is your opinion of how we are performing in the warm-up match? I am not liking what I'm seeing from Chanderpaul, McKenzie, and Atanase right now. None of them are scoring runs. It is very concerning to me, Brian H., how those three batsmen are performing. Even the first match, we saw where Chanderpaul run down a wide ball after being on 27. In the match last night, one pitched up into Mackenzie pads and he just clipped it to square leg and walked off. Now, I saw when Atanase was walking off, but I never saw how he got out last night. These players need to come to 4. You would recall on Tuesday, I said I would ask Da Silva to bat at 4. And I realized that they sent Da Silva to open last night because they want him to get in some batting. So they sent him to open in the second innings. I do not see Da Silva open in the test match, but I would have probably going to pencil in Da Silva to bat at number 4 in the test match. Maybe right now I'm thinking about whether I should open with Mackenzie or Chanderpaul. But if I open with Mackenzie and Chanderpaul, who is going to bat at number 6? So that's another question. Not to open with Mackenzie and Chanderpaul, but rather to open with either Mackenzie or Chanderpaul and bat Kavim Hodge at number 3. That's just my thought process, but come Tuesday evening, I will flesh it out. But I'm definitely not happy with the way that Athanase, Mackenzie, and Chanderpaul are going at this time. Mark you, it's against the Australia probably D team because most of their players are playing in the Big Bash at this time, and the test players are just playing a few matches at the Big Bash before next week. So it's left to be seen. Sherwin is saying, I have said it before, I will ban all players who made themselves unavailable for a test and ODI for 2 years. And Sherwin, I do not have an issue with those things. I do not have an issue with those things. No NOC should be granted, none whatsoever. And mark you, whether or not you have a retainer contract, you still have to get an NOC from the governing body before you can play in these leagues. You still have to. So it's not about you not signing a retainer contract and so you are free to go and play. Cricket West Indies can still not issue a NOC and you cannot play. Tage looks lost in Wonderland. He needs to get it together. We hope for the sake of West Indies cricket, he does. Michael Douglas is saying, Chanderpaul is not looking too confident at the moment. Athanase' problem is patience. He's trying to play every delivery. Athanase need to leave some deliveries alone. Good point there, especially with the point on Athanase. I like that point. One of the things you have to learn to do in Test cricket, especially in Australia, and I've said this before, you have to learn to leave not only on line in Australia, but also on length. Those pitches are bouncier than they are in the Caribbean. So one has to learn to leave on length, except for additionally to line. Good point there, Michael Douglas. I love that. Craig and Chanderpaul needs to bat with intent that batting will at a max give you draw, but will never produce winning result to West Indies. I am hearing some rumors, and I do not know what true it is, but I am hearing some rumors that Brathwaite is no longer happy opening the innings with Chanderpaul. That's the rumors I'm hearing. I do not know what true it is, but then my sources are always good, as you know. Thank you all for tuning in, and please remember to join me next week Saturday at the Lawrence Rose Celebrity Gala, where he will be celebrating his 75th birthday, along with the 50th anniversary of the 302 versus England. Viv Richards, Andy Roberts, Courtney Walsh, Ramner Sawan, Forward Bacchus, Joel Garner, and the Cricket Forum will be there. Come down and join us. Tickets are in the video description, and I hope to see you. I really hope to see you there. Good morning, Jennifer Brown. Happy New Year to you and the Cricket Forum community. Thank you very much, Mrs. Brown. Glad that you are on the show. Salve X is saying, I believe that Silva is given the opener spot to give him practice in the evident Mackenzie and Alex struggles in the first test, or if anyone gets injured. Thank you for your opinion, Salve X. It is always welcome. Please remember to smash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button. Thank God Reefa is not number 3. Batsman no more. Thank you, Jamur Sumal. It's a good way to end the program. It's a good way to end with a laugh. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy your day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. And see you tomorrow morning when I'll be talking to no other than Jeff Miller. Jeff Miller, as you know, he was the CEO of the Jamaica Towers, and he's now the CEO of the Antigua franchise. Jeff Miller will be here tomorrow morning to walk us through the decision process, why they did what they did. He will respond to what the government and the Jamaica Cricket Association has to say. It should be a fascinating discussion. Join me tomorrow morning, just about the same time, when I'll be talking to no other than Jeff Miller. See you then. One love. Take care of yourself. Have a good day.